Paydays coming up, right?
Yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Go and stick your finger in there. Dave?
Oh, sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 10:30, we welcome everybody to the Marion County Commission meeting on February 21st. From 10:30 to 12, we'll do a work session on department head evaluations. So we're ready to move into executive session. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss department head evaluations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with commission and occasionally, Tina?
If you need me.
In and out?
Yeah.
For an hour and a half.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dahlke. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 12 o'clock and then probably recess for lunch and start our regular meeting at 12:30.
Okay.
What's your big one?
Yeah. Okay, I just have the regular video on, so a big one.
Okay.
Just bring this up here.
We are out of a work session, now recess until 12:30 for our regular meeting.
And no action
No-
after.
And no action taken out of the session.
Okay. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, you're on.
Ready? All right. Welcome everyone to the February 21st Marion County Commission meeting. We begin with public forum. I don't see anyone online and there's no one in the room. So we'll move on to agenda approval. Under Brad, with our attorney, we will have an executive session on potential property acquisition. And Bryce had called, with the nice weather, he's out being staking, so he will not be in today.
The Fire Chiefs Association will not be here today.
Okay. I didn't complain because I'd like to get out in the nice weather too.
I have a couple items.
Okay.
Just to bring up
Sure.
under commission comments that may be future agenda.
Okay, very good. And remind us to get up hourly to stretch.
Yeah, and if I get up and move around, don't bother. It's the way it is.
All good. All right, with that, we're ready to move into administrative.
Okay, the first thing I have are the minutes of February 13th.
Okay, commission has had a chance to review the minutes. Are there any corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Crowfoot, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Dahlke, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried by a vote. Bill.
Thank you.
Who else did you say, Tina, was not gonna be here on the agenda?
Fire Chiefs Association,
The last item.
the last item.
Last time, okay.
There's a very high fire danger today, so
Yeah.
they weren't
Yeah.
time for that.
Be thinking.
I do have a salary sheet for a new part-time paramedic.
Okay, in the ambulance department, Curtis Oslin, rehire part-time paramedic, $18.08 per hour, effective February 13th.
blue. Change colors.
All right.
So in your packet, you had the comparison sheet for the health insurance options, the current versus proposed renewals. Did you want to take any action on anything today, or?
Commission have any questions? Kent, I know I didn't get the book to you, but did you have?
That's
any?
fine. I mean, I had the,
You had the computer packet.
Piece of paper, I'll be right back.
Okay. Were there any questions?
I think our employees really appreciate the plan that we're on, and I realize there is a slight increase, but that's the world we live in.
Less than it was last year.
We did budget based on a 25% projected increase.
Oh,
But we usually try to be pretty conservative in our budgeting, so.
that's good to know.
Yeah, we got it covered.
I guess, let's split this into two motions. First motion would be to proceed with retaining the Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance plan as presented with the increase.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Becker, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. The next motion would be how to pay for that. So discussion, do you want to pass on that increase to employees, or do you want to absorb it by county?
I feel we ought to absorb it, because every time neglect the pay raise we just gave them.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, would that be a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Crowfoot to the county absorb the increase in health insurance and not pass it on to employees. Second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have on administrative.
Really?
Yes.
Now, wait a minute, there's one thing on there. Do we have any planning and zoning appointees from the 3rd district?
No, I offered it to somebody and they have not called back. I don't want to put it back in paper again. Put it back in there for, see if we can get anybody.
Okay.
If we don't, do we take
If you put it on
candidates from other
Facebook.
districts?
Well, that's what I don't know if we can or not.
If someone has one in another district.
I don't know if that's even allowed under the bylaws.
That's what I say, I don't know either.
I thought they addressed that.
We have the one at large.
At large deal, but I don't know about the regular.
I wouldn't think you could, but
I'm just asking.
We talked about it last year, with Sharon, that, if you just cannot fill from a district.
Okay. I'll talk to Sharon and see if she can get us an answer.
Yeah, clarify that.
Try the paper, one more 2 weeks' time, in and see if we have any
Plus,
come in.
you're gonna have one to replace.
No, that's me. That's me.
Yeah, he's got two.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah.
Randy has two.
I'm good for a good long while.
After the.
But I'd recommend if any of the commissioners has somebody that really wanted to serve, that,
I'd like to-
we need to keep that in the discussion.
I've been trying to think of I know that's in your district, but that would want to.
Yeah. Yeah, give me a call.
Well, we'll do the newspaper ad and keep looking at it before we move to that.
Yeah.
And we'll investigate the other stuff.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I
Did Josh happen to be here?
Believe it or not.
What do you have for us today?
I've got bids for the side-by-sides, and if we have time, I also got all the bids in for the skid steers. I take one and pass it around.
Oh, thanks.
Did a couple of companies bid with HVAC in the system, since I was going with an enclosed cab. And they're the bottom two on that very front page.
Wichita Tractor Prairie Land.
Mm-hmm.
That's an enclosed cab with.
Enclosed cab with heat and air in it.
John Deere's right up there with them with no air conditioning.
The bottom one should have the.
Oh, okay, Prairie Land, yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah. That's the difference, okay, I see.
What's your recommendation?
I kind of lean towards without it, but you know, in the middle of the summer, it's kind of be nice to have the AC. But I'm not going to try being out there when it's 110 degrees spraying, because spraying at that temperature does no good. So
I don't know about the enclosed cab, but I sure like a windshield on one because.
I'm just thinking chemical. It'd be nice to be able to hide
Yeah,
away
but,
from.
Wind blows around,
I mean-
around you.
It just, I drive one at the cemetery and sure like a windshield in front of me.
yeah, I went with the windshields. Doors just kind of can enclose me if I'm spraying. That way, if the wind is a light breeze, because I can only spray it to a certain mile an hour, and then it's, you know, they turn into it and you do get a mist. At least I'm covered and protecting myself.
So all of them have an enclosed cab.
They're all enclosed cab. The bottom two have heat and air on them.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought maybe you
Yeah,
were catching.
that clarifies it.
Yeah.
So, does that help?
Yeah.
This is just for this authority is just for the.
Yep, that's just for the side by side.
Other questions from commission?
Can equip self.
So are you recommending the low bid?
I could go a little bit, I could go the higher, you know, we do have Prairie Land here. You know, if something does go wrong, I can just run it there. Other than that, you know, I either gotta go to Salina or I gotta go to South Hutchinson to take it, to get it repaired. So I can go any way, really.
Is the can equip Darrington?
Be the Salina.
Oh.
The Salina stores, the Polaris dealer.
Mr. Gearing, do you have a comment?
No, I could totally agree. Having Prairie Land right here.
Mm-hmm.
And warranty issues. I've had a couple of mine.
Yeah.
You got to take them to Mount or Heston or Hutch, or
Mm-hmm.
it'd be nice to be able to just come right over here.
Yeah.
Takes a half a day out of your life.
Do we have a motion?
I recommend that we purchase the one from Prairie Land. We'll get local service, you know.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the Prairie Land bid. And that is that with or without the?
Without the air conditioning.
Okay.
I mean,
I would talking $2 grand. I would go ahead and do it.
okay.
$2 difference.
I mean, by the time you add that on later,
I'm shocked at how close those are together.
that's because their package is already built with a cab.
Yeah. Yeah, they're Prairie Land. The HVAC one that's how it comes from factory. If I go with the built with the windows and the doors, they have to order them separate, and then they have to install them at the dealership. So that's why.
That's why.
Oh,
It'd be-
labor.
Sure.
I would change mine to order this one with the HVAC, $30,000.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Commissioner Crowfoot to approve it at 30,000, second by Commissioner Gary. Other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay,
Nay.
And you've got 3 in favor and 2 against.
big difference in price.
Okay, what else you got for us?
I do have the skid steer bids. I went with White Star, Murphy, and then Bobcat of Salina were the 3. I had them bid Bobcat, I had them bid the 770 and the 850 they no longer make, so they jumped to the 86. Then I had one tell me the 770 is no longer being made. But the other one says we can still get them. He says, I've got them on order.
How do you run the Bobcats that you have now? Are you hand control or are you foot pedal?
They're all hand controlled, they're joysticks, but they run different patterns now, where you can run them the old H style, which is, forward, backwards, and then you twist them. You can run back at the ISO. You can switch where one is just driving and the other one is the bucket. Those are about your only 2 options anymore that I've run across.
I'm just talking about familiarity with employees having them. You don't need them running into walls and stuff.
Yeah. This I stuck with what we have. I did go with the close because we're getting a lot of grain dust from the co-ops, and during the summer they put garlic in with their feed to help with fly controls. That burns the nostrils if you're using the skid steer too. So
It's a vampire's way.
I sure like to question whether we have to accept that.
Accept.
Just got, from a milling process like this,
Oh, accept the product.
accept the
Waste
product.
product, okay.
I mean, we're in trash.
Right.
I don't know what the state says we have to accept, but if you've ever been down there when that's being dumped, just go down there and stand there. You see what Josh is talking about.
With that and demolition of the whole buildings too.
the
creates a lot of-
demolition with all the dust
Lots
from
of
that
dust.
too. We have all that too. So I'm looking more at trying to help and protect my guys, just running in close cab on that when they're using it.
That and then the barrels, what's in the barrels?
Honey, we're
Honey.
slowly getting them off. That's a special waste. We gotta haul off separate.
And that's what I'm getting at. I don't know.
Do they pay?
They pay a special waste fee for it.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's just contaminated honey.
Yeah, I know, but how much is that?
What's the special fee?
Do we pass through the charge for that?
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
We make money on it.
A little, not a whole lot, but we make a little.
Well, They do it for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As long as everybody's okay with that. I mean, it takes a lot of time to handle those barrels.
Mhm.
And a lot of, I don't know, they're not light when they're,
No, we're not.
they're pretty heavy, I know that.
Could be still
No.
What was your comment about the 770?
The 770, the one company says they don't make them anymore. They're on temporarily discontinued. Another one says that he's got them on order and he can get them in. They're both ordered from the same place.
Yeah.
So you think you'd get the same story from
Well, it could
from
be,
both of them.
It could be phasing them out.
Yeah.
You only got one Bobcat bid?
The others are on the very back. I used the John Deere to split them up so it didn't work so confusing.
Okay.
Do you have a recommendation on this one?
I did talk with my guys and, they were kind of leaning towards this 770 is kind of what they were, just cause the 86s, they're They run keypads now to start and stop, and they're afraid of the electronic piece of that being where they're at. The 770 still uses a key.
Yeah, it is a little bit. It is a little bit.
Warranties are all the same on all of them.
Yes.
And why did they discontinue the 770, this model change or?
Model change, they've kind of used they've taken the 850 and the 770, kind of combined those in, and that's what the 86, you know, the S86.
It's a good design, I mean, good machine.
Yeah.
Does this have the quick attach on it? Or you have to use the handles?
I get out and use handles.
Other questions?
I think Josh has made a recommendation to us.
Okay. That'd be a motion.
That would be my motion to accept the bid on the S770 Bobcat.
Mr. Liner?
What?
Mr. Liner?
Yes. Through, yeah, Bobcat of Salina.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion from Commissioner Becker to accept the bid from Bobcat Salina on the S770 Bobcat, $67,847.60. Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Oh, question? Okay, question by Commissioner Dalton.
Is either one of these with a trade-in?
No.
What are we gonna do, have 3 of them?
Well, we're gonna
Purple Wave.
I'm
Either
gonna try
sell
purple
the
wave
other
in the
one.
one. I'd like to try to keep them the 330. You know, it's an older, it's an all mechanical linkage and stuff, and they use it quite a bit. You know, they move a lot of them barrels around and kind of help use it to clean them when snow hits. Patch spots with gravel is what they use that one, and it's a decent backup in case, you know, something went down.
What can it do that the backhoe can't do?
The skid steers.
Yeah.
We can
The one, to keep one,
to keep one.
for backup.
Skid the backhoe. We do everything. Skids, you know, takes longer, but
The idea of these buildings was to try getting less equipment. And I realize that we don't have the design like we saw at McPherson. It was not as neatly designed, and it does not work because of our engineering. But to have three machines sitting around down there, I don't know.
I think the plan is for 2 machines. The new one and.
Well, you got a tractor. You
Oh,
got a
I see what you
Bobcat,
mean, 2,
and
yes.
you have
yes,
2
yes.
Bobcats.
Yes,
in,
3
so-
machines,
So
right.
you got 3 machines sitting around, everybody wants to run a machine.
We never have all 3 up on the floor at the same time, do we?
Well, if it's necessary, we do. But otherwise, we have one sitting down there, just sitting there.
Are all of the employees trained on both?
I got one they're all trained on the skid steer. Majority of them are on the backhoe.
I mean, you're not gonna get nothing too much out of it. I mean, I think they're probably, I don't know what the dollar and cents worth value is, but I don't know what, when you put them up on Purple Wave, whether you.
I don't know.
That's
Equipment
right.
like that still brings money now.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
yes, it does,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I was just looking for a value for them.
And auctions seem to bring the most money out of them.
Mm-hmm.
People go crazy over them.
Yeah. So,
We'll find out on the one that's going. And then maybe we can reevaluate at that point if you want to do the second.
I just want to bring it to the attention of everybody that you've got 3 machines sitting down there.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 4-1.
That is all I have for that.
thank you, Josh.
All right, thank you.
Brad's not here. I'm gonna take a 5 minute recess. We have a 1 o'clock appointment, so I'm gonna ask for a recess, going down to 1 o'clock. We're gonna start some.
What about the restraint?
That's just one side here.
Huh? Just going?
Bristol County is a stretch.
This thing.
We lost Phillips already. She moved on. Yeah, she took all her stuff and left.
Phyllis was right there. Trying to talk to that other recess.
Oh, I see, we're not, sorry. We're out of recess. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75.
Isn't it active litigation?
Okay, so pending litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with the commission. Sharon, Tina, Brad will be online, and Andrew Holder will be online for 30 minutes from 1 o'clock to 1:30.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 1:30.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. One note of information, we had an additional person join our executive session, Reed McGregor. So at this point, I would move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss pending litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with the commission. Sharon, Tina, Brad Jantz online, Andrew Holder online, and Reed McGregor online for 15 minutes, 1:30 to 1:46. Second by Commissioner Dalkey. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. Back at 1:46.
We will be back at 1.
Okay.
Good?
Yes.
All right, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. I move to recess into executive session in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney with the commission. Tina, Brad Jantz online for 10 minutes from 1:50 to 2 o'clock.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carried. We'll be back at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions made. With that, we're ready to move into planning and zoning. Ms. Sharon's report.
We're canceling off Brad at 1:45.
Yeah, we moved Brad up because of the,
Okay.
he was online and he had another obligation. All right, welcome. Just sign in for us. Sorry about the delay. Sorry to keep you in on a nice day.
That's all right.
Outside.
Not a big deal.
Other than the wind.
Is it?
It's still beautiful outside.
Yeah.
Melissa's sitting on the chair.
That's, no one's using
No one
it.
is, okay.
Wants to sit here first.
I just had an extra inside.
Gotcha.
Roger that on those two cities.
Oh, it's UPS.
They're the applicants for the case, so I was just gonna see if they'd like to sit in the front row there.
Go ahead and have a chair.
Okay,
Go ahead and sit, I just laid this here.
thank you.
Talk to you on the, try to get out your house.
All right, Sharon, we have 23-01.
Okay.
Never use GPS when you're out in the
I'd
desert.
like
Yeah,
to
I
give
carry
just a
on.
brief introduction to the case PC 2301. Our applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Sled, are here with us today. This request for a conditional use permit is to operate a wedding and event venue. If approved, they intend to restore the existing structures while still preserving the character of the historic ranch. They envision offering this location as a wedding and event venue that overlooks the beautiful Flint Hills. The Sleds have done a tremendous amount of work to restore the awe-inspiring homestead, and they hope to share the ambiance of this beautiful property with others to create a unique and unforgettable memories for their visitors. So if you're familiar with the area, it's about 4 miles northeast of the city of Burns. It's,
West 40th.
right, you take 30th, you have to take 30th and then
Go north,
Arrow,
right here on 47th Terrace, right here's where it's at, right? You got a half mile from the line or a mile from the line, from the county line down there. It's still Rick Grace place, the Grace Ranch, is what it is.
that's right,
Okay.
Grace Ranch. Sorry, let me catch my bearings here. Let's see, the clients will provide their own food and catering, so at this point, they do not intend to serve food, but at some point, they may obtain a food handler's license and offer a package that includes like a charcuterie board or Sunday brunch. The clients could provide their own alcoholic beverages if desired, but the applicants have no plans to get a Kansas liquor license or serve alcoholic beverages at this time. The planning commission voted unanimously to approve this conditional use, or to recommend approval of this conditional use permit with the conditions that the CUP be reviewed every 5 years for compliance. Proof of liability insurance for the host property shall be provided. The property shall maintain an annual short-term rental registration with the county and subject to the requirements and conditions in conjunction with the short-term rentals. The CUP holders will be notified prior to annual registration when conditions have changed to allow a reasonable time for them to comply, should those conditions change. And if at any time these guidelines are not followed, the host property may be suspended or revoked from that CUP. The Sleds have done an excellent job of putting a book together with some history and some of their visions. They also had a very nice display at the planning commission meeting. I believe Mr. Dolphy and Mr. Becker saw those displays. Can we give them just a moment to share?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Hi, thanks for having us. I think the best way to give you a picture of what this looks like is just to give you the sales brochure when we bought it. So I'll pass that around, but inside here are the 2 main structures that, the big house that we plan to restore, and then the horse barn. The 2-story horse barn. And so those are the 2 buildings we're planning on having the events in. And then there's a 400-foot long sheep shed, which is what I've been told. It was founded as a sheep ranch. It needs some substantial stonework, and so we're gonna have to figure out, that's phase 2. So I'll just go ahead and pass that. And then,
It's still an active ranch. They bring the cattle in May, and they run them till August, so.
Okay.
And then they remove the cattle. They run about anywhere from 650 to 750 head out there.
Okay.
yeah, over the summer with 3 months. So everything we're planning on doing is going to fit into what they're already doing and have been doing for a long time.
Good.
And that's kind of how we see living out here too.
Nice.
So we're not trying to make any big changes. You know, we don't like light. We love to see the stars, and we don't see any signage that needs to go up. I don't want to. I seem to get into too much detail, so I'll stop. But the other thing I wanted to share with you is a booklet that I put together. the two people on here are my grandmothers, my mother and my father's mothers, who have always inspired me by their hard work and of service to people. So, but inside this book is just, it's like a vision book, because there's some pictures of what it looks like now out there, and then there's some pictures of what I see, you know, someone could create at an event, whether it be a 50th wedding anniversary or a bridal shower or a wedding venue. We just want to have it be open. And then this one picture right here, I'll end with this. This is the modular home. Some people think it's a trailer, but it's a modular home on a foundation, and that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years since we bought the place. And we live there permanently now. We sold everything in Kansas City and live out in Burns permanent, so. But this is what the kitchen looks like inside, the modular.
Okay, very nice.
For council's information, this is when you come up on 30th here, come up Arrow and go up here. Right in here's where we put the 3
Cattle crossing.
crossings there on this road, and it goes to their place. And so that's, if you ever go out there, you know if you get to the cattle crossing, you're getting close.
Get close.
Keep on following the road. So.
All right, come back to Sharon.
Does the commission have any other questions about the case or the recommendation?
In reading the record of proceedings, it looked like the planning commission was very thorough, a number of questions, brought up a couple ideas, and it sounds like conditions were agreeable with the applicant and the commission on the issues that were brought up.
Yeah,
that looks very good to me.
I was sitting there and you know, I think there was a lot of discussion with the board, and I really felt they tried covering their aspect of maybe things they, you know, might run into later. So they were trying to cover it all at one time so they wouldn't have to come back.
Right, very good. Other commission comments, questions?
I was there at the meeting, and there's lots of good comments. I think the whole room was excited about addition to Marion County as an asset.
Yeah, there's an opportunity. All right, any other questions or for our applicants? Your recommendation, of course, the recommendation of the planning commission was approval with those conditions.
That's correct.
I'd make the motion to.
Just before we do that, I do want to open it up. There's public comments
Okay.
to this specific case. Any public comments? No, okay, sorry.
I'd make the motion to go ahead and pass allow case PC 23-01 to go ahead for Marion County.
The resolution 2003-05.
Resolution 2003.
2023.
2005, or 05. 2023-05 resolution.
Second by Commissioner Becker, after a motion by Commissioner Dalkey. Question?
With staff recommendation.
Yes, with staff recommendation, yes.
Now they're part of, yes, and they're part of the conditions that were included. Yes.
That is the resolution.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one printed. Oh, okay, it's the same, right? Yes, yes.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Explain the process for the final approval.
Yes, sir. So the resolution will be published in the Marion County Record, and upon resolution being published, then the CUP is valid and ready to go.
All right.
It's a little late welcoming, but welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Think this would be a great addition.
Does it be about 15?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Do you think Susan?
Yeah, we are.
Since we have Dave already. Would that be, since she's the closest?
Yep. And I used to have a couple of
Oh, okay.
department
Sure.
updates.
Sorry,
Is
yes,
that okay?
updates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so.
regular business.
Sorry. The Division of Water Resources has been working with the county and some stakeholders on remapping the floodplain.
Yes.
This has been an ongoing process. There's a community official meeting this week that I'll be in attendance at, and then after that, there's like a 90-day protest period. In the paperwork that was in your masses of email, there, that due process of 90 days and then the final determination, and then there's a 6-month final determination. So even though that preliminary draft data is available now for review, there will still be several months worth of wait time before those maps are adopted. And then the final adoption and our floodplain regulations will come back to the commissioners for final approval.
Okay. Okay, the meeting is Wednesday at 10, is that right?
Yes, that sounds right. There's a
It's
thing
in
in the
the
mail
packet.
folder, it's in your mail folder there, I think it is tomorrow. I think it
didn't
is
know
at 10 to
Any
11.
commissioners can attend, I have a conflict, so I can't.
No conflict.
Okay.
And a lot of that will be about the process.
You can
and
give
the
us a
adoption
summary.
and- Yes.
You can
This-
represent us.
This won't be the first one we've done, so, it's mostly a wait game. But if you'd like to see the maps, I do have the paper maps at my office
Okay.
and the flood study,
Excellent.
flood insurance study and all of those things, if you'd like to look at any particular areas.
I appreciate that. Very good.
The next item, wind farm update. I have, there were some outreach items that were provided in your packet. Orsted provided $20,000 to Mary and Florence School District for recreation program. Peabody Burns $20,000 for school support improvements and staff appreciation. The City of Florence, $10,000 to the Florence Community Foundation. $10,000 to Marion Advancement Campaign. $10,000 to the Peabody Community Foundation. $5,000 to the Marion Food Bank, and $5,000 to the Hub Youth Center in Peabody, as well as just under $13,000 for a fire training inflatable for like schools. And then, in addition to the other items that Wanzek has provided since our last meeting, they also provided a $5,000 donation to the Florence Fire Department for the purchase of wildland grass fire gear.
Next.
So they,
Yeah.
Yes,
Ballpark for today.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, they've been out on several fires. They've been a huge asset, definitely. So the Wanzek construction update is that all towers have been erected and exercised. They've all been turned over. Reclamation work is around 80% complete, like up near the bases and the access roads and the radii and things like that. They've started capping gravel roads this week, which I think was actually last week. We continue to communicate with them through that process. No roads have been received back by the county yet. We're not ready for that yet, but they're working on recapping. As far as the transmission line, the EPC project manager reported that the poles are 60 to 65% staged and assembled, so they're laying on the ground at the sites. They're working on the concrete bases, and they're starting from the south, like in Butler County, and moving north up into Marion County, up to the substation. There are 6 poles completely embedded, like in the concrete. And then they're 95% done with tree clearing. They should start stringing conductors in a couple of weeks, and then they're still projecting gen-tie completion around the middle of May. And if you're interested in looking at what the transmission line may look like when it's constructed, if I can get it out of this plastic thing, let me pass this around. It's pretty basic. It's on a monopole system, so not quite as obtrusive as some other types of structures.
Not as big as the ones that come out of Hillsborough.
They'll
Probably
be,
about the same.
Yeah.
they'll be pretty tall, they have to have plenty of clearance for,
Is each one of them having a base? Cement base?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it looks like some of them's not, but that might be.
Well, you said there were 5 embedded?
6.
Six.
Yeah.
6 embedded.
So
That's why I was seeing some of those are not gonna be embedded. I don't know why, because one of them's right beside the road up there that knows.
And some of those bases aren't going to extend up out of the ground like what you typically see in other places. I think certain areas, they're designed to have water basically flow through them now.
Flow around.
Yeah, they don't, the state doesn't even permit those poles anymore, as long as they're not on a base greater than 3 or 5 feet
Crossed.
crossed and so many feet high, so they're much less obtrusive.
There's a Rob substation where, have they determined the location for that?
Yes, the substation will be, it's between Remington and Quail Creek, right about in the middle of that section. So the access will be off, it'll be south of 110th, just off of Remington, right about the half-mile, and then close to the center of that section.
How close to their building? What they have?
It's about, it's south of their current laydown yard.
South of the current
Yeah.
building.
They would have access to it through the laydown yard, back there to it.
From Remington. They have an access from Remington.
From Remington, okay.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a new barn up down there, so, okay.
Yep, they had to have their own separate address there
Government
due
regulation.
to other utility companies.
Okay, other questions for Sharon?
And then there's a current board member list that was in your packets.
Yes.
No, scheduled, sorry.
You know, we've never met. It's a whole different world than what Kent and I went through with the others. We talked directly to them. I'd like to welcome them someday, somehow, or either us go out and meet them, or at their place of business, or whatever.
We were there
Will they have
when they
a
opened up.
grand opening when they're ready to start generating, or at some point, do you know? Have they mentioned anything?
I can sure find out. I know they had like a ribbon cutting ceremony when they broke ground, once we were,
I was out there for that, and some other people.
yeah, once they were ready.
Be
to
nice
go.
if the commission could be involved in that or something.
Yeah.
So are you envisioning something with Orsted, the owners of the company, or with Wanzek, the construction company?
Both, I don't care.
Wanzek will be gone.
Wanzek is probably be gone for long, but, the owners just like to meet and greet, something like that.
Are you involved with the building here in town, any? I guess it's gonna be at headquarters.
Right, it's in Marion, the city of Marion's zoning district.
So you know,
But, I mean, just facilitating who they need to talk to about
they're
what.
working up there now, I know, I mean,
Right.
the construction going on.
Yes. Yep, they've got some big plans for, some remodeling on that building.
Yeah. Whatever, Sharon, I mean, just try getting us involved because we're a big part of the county.
Sure, okay, I'll see what I can come up with.
Appreciate it.
Been too easy, hasn't it?
It's been very nice working with them.
Yep, they've definitely had, good relationship with county staff, and, we get very quick responses. Anytime we have a problem, they address it immediately. They've been a very good company to work with.
Cool. Okay.
Well, I talked to Bryce about maybe getting with you about combining your 2 tech positions, seeing about moving the pay scale. Maybe you guys could fill that rather than not filling
Mhm.
tech positions.
That's something that I might be open to. I do have an interview with someone for my field tech position tomorrow.
Okay.
It might be something that I can maybe get a feel for if they would be interested in that. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, no, if you've
Okay.
got something, I don't wanna just rock the boat. I just thought
Okay.
positions weren't getting filled.
Right,
So let's try to come up with a solution, and if we
absolutely.
combine 2 positions into one and possibly pay a little better, then maybe
you fill it and take some relief, or give some relief to both of you.
Sure. Definitely something we can consider.
All
That's
right.
all I have.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Ready for Galen?
Where'd she go?
There. There you are. Hi, Gayla.
Hi. I don't know where I sit anymore.
In front of the microphone. We punish,
Always.
all our guests have to sit by Commissioner Dalton.
Oh.
Gotta be a good person.
He keeps people in line.
He keeps
is that-
people in line.
Okay, all right. Well, you have my report. I kind of gave you the numbers from 2022. Now I see a typographical error, sorry about that. My husband's a proofreader, not me. The other thing that's not on here, last time we did commodities, I found out that the person who was doing them over in Gossel had decided not to do them. And I made some contacts with some people I know over there, and the bank there, they're going to do it.
Oh.
So hopefully we'll get them started in April, and they're gonna try it out for a year. So their staff, they have a person who's gonna come pick them up, and then they'll do that. So I'm very thankful for that. Because there's just, when I first found out, I talked to Hillsborough about it, and they just said they just really didn't have the room or the capacity to do it. And then for people to drive all the way over here to Marion, I didn't see that much happening for people. So I'm just thankful for that. And then we did have somebody come to our last Senior Citizens of Marion County Board meeting, and I think they're going to join that board. So for once, out of I don't know how many years, we'll have hopefully a full board on that. So I don't know if you have any other questions about my report or.
Any questions?
Looks like you've been busy.
Yeah, I've been busy doing taxes, and I guess I kind of forgot how stressful that was. Putting in right numbers in the right places, so been busy doing that, so.
Any other questions? Would you like a short personnel?
Yes.
Session? Okay, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with the commission, Gayla and Tina for 5 minutes, 2:25 to 2:30.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We'll be back at 2:30.
Okay, you're on.
We are out of executive session, no decisions made, but I do have to announce receipt of a final day of employment from Gayla Ratzlaff, retiring on April 28, 2023. She's done an outstanding service for our county and should be greatly missed.
Make a motion to accept that.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Dalkey
Second.
to accept the letter of retirement. A second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried reluctantly 5-0. But we appreciate all that she's done for Marion County. All right.
I just gotta get a good caption on the.
Krista,
Okay.
we'll go ahead and move you in. It's a hairnet day or something. It's all just blowing like
Yes.
crazy out there.
Well, the first thing I have is a contract with Workwell Kansas this fall, when we talked about an employee wellness program for the county that was approved through the commission.
Yes.
So we have met one time as a committee, so an employee wellness committee, and then Sherry Miller and I have met with KU, so Dr. Ablaw and Melinda Chenault through KU about getting this program started. So with the Workwell Kansas, they ask that you do a contract with them. They're a grant-funded initiative, and they ask that you pick a initiative as well that is currently being funded. So right now, well-being is one of their initiatives that's being funded, or physical activity, or tobacco. And they suggested that we start with well-being first, because there's usually some resistance with tobacco or physical activity from staff, and kind of build trust with them on that first.
Let's pick the easy one.
Yes. So with this contract, it asks that you complete the Workwell Kansas pre and post assessments. Sherry's done the first one. Adopt a workplace policy and make environmental changes to the work site. And then have executive level roles modeling those behaviors. And so that's.
Can you remind us on what some of those examples are?
So practicing potentially positivity in your workplace if we're going on well-being. We haven't got to see their policies yet.
Okay.
We'll meet again with them and discuss the pre-assessment, and then we'll go through and send out assessments to employees and kind of find out where things are at and how we can improve well-being around Marion County employees.
And I remember from the prep, I remember there was a 80-20, or there was some catch with the numbers. Can you remind me what that was?
3, 4, 80.
3, 4, 80.
Yes, so 3. I don't have
I'm
the
going to
slides
put
in
you
front of
on
me.
the spot.
You are
Because I
putting
can't
it.
remember, but it was good.
I did not bring those slides with me today.
It was like the
Commissioner,
three
you are?
top risks account for 80% of our health costs or
Yes.
health issues. It was like obesity and lack of activity. And but
Yes.
it revolves around the general well-being. Sorry about putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I did not bring this with me.
That's all right.
So I will pass this along. This is the contract for Workwell, Kansas.
Okay.
So that is free to the county.
Right.
And sounds like they get funding for different initiatives depending on the year
Okay.
through different sources.
And we need to take action to accept the contract.
Yes.
Questions by commission? I'm sorry.
How do we know when we passed the first session? Whether they've, whether we've got it down, is it time frame, or is it?
It sounds like there are some timeframes involved. In order for us to get in on this initiative, we had to sign a contract by the end of this month in order to get in on that funding. In past, they've had, for like a tobacco initiative, they've offered free cessation mechanisms like patches or gum, or like smoke-free workplaces, enacting those policies. But they recommended that we start with well-being because everyone, regardless if they realize it or not, wants to be happier in their workplace.
I'd be a volunteer for smoking because I haven't smoked since 6 years old, so.
I think you can look at it.
And I'm not through high school or work or anything, so my granddad was the last one to give me something to smoke, so he was an honored guy, so I'll be a first volunteer.
Cured you
for
of it.
smoking.
He cured you of it.
Yeah, and being around mom and dad all my life that did smoke, it's made me a non-smoker all my life, so.
Well, I would make a motion to sign the contract to participate in Workwell, Kansas under the well-being program. Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
And the next item I have for business is the Governor's Public Health Conference. I'll go ahead and pass around the agenda.
Oh, there's an extra one there.
So I've come to the commission to ask, I guess, for permission to send employees that have been working for the health department for greater than a year to this conference that have interest and would like to participate. The cost of the registration fee is $300 per person. It does start the day before. There's a pre-conference on Tuesday, March 28th, that's Public Health 101. I feel like that would be a beneficial conference to our staff to have a greater understanding of what public health does. And with that, if we were to send multiple staff, I think I have 5 that are interested with myself, we would need to have permission to shut down the health department for 3 days.
Is there any other conferences through the year that if you didn't choose 2 of them to go, that?
So throughout the year, this will be the first year since COVID, there's an immunization conference in June, I believe it is, that Pam would go to. There is a billing conference. Jessica said that she did not have interest in going this year. And I kind of was, I guess why I'm asking too is right now we have some COVID grant funding that can be used for education. And it may be a one-time opportunity for everyone to go and get some further education on public health.
So you'd have the grant funds to pay for the registration?
Yes.
For employees. I guess
Randy, you know, in the past, have we closed down for any conferences, anything
I
like
mean,
that?
there's been certain occasions that somebody's taken their whole office out, but not very often. We try to stand away from it, splitting up and that's why I asked that. If 3 went this time, 2 could go somewhere else. That's the reason why I asked that.
But you have anybody, this one person say to answer the phone maybe?
Jessica said that she may be available to do that, but she said that she also has some other personal things going on that may require her time. But Kim had expressed interest that she would like to go to the conference.
Yeah.
And I feel like this would be the one conference that would be applicable to her position and that she might have,
I agree.
Yeah.
It looks like a very healthcare organization meeting. But
Kind of get everybody excited about their job, I guess, rejuvenate. Sometimes meetings do that. People.
and that was kind of my thought too, kind of energize staff and get them excited about public health and things that we can do for our community. With, I guess, the understanding that this may be a one-time opportunity if it was approved.
Sure.
A lot of times these conferences, you can learn more from the people you sit next to than you can from the speaker. In the social part of it.
That's
So you
true.
meet people from all over Kansas. Hopefully.
Any other questions or discussion?
where's it held at?
It's held in Manhattan, and last year I went to it and I drove back and forth. But this year they're holding a public health officer meeting in the evening, so that kind of limits unless you have multiple vehicles there, it kind of limits the driving since they're having evening meetings as well. And currently I have from our office, Kim, who's our program assistant, Pam Holland, who's our immunization and epidemiology nurse, Erin Hine, who's the Safe Kids coordinator, and Charlotte Dirksen, who's the WIC coordinator.
Some of them
They're all
part-time
interested.
people.
Yes, Kim is full-time and Pam is full-time. Erin and Charlotte are both part-time.
And yourself?
And she'd be full-time, be 3 full-time.
It looks like there's 6 different
Yeah.
paths, depending on which way you go. It's able to spread across the board pretty easy.
Is it 2 days or 3 days?
So there's a pre-conference on Tuesday, which accounts for the 3rd day.
Okay.
And with the pre-conference registration, as well as those, it comes to $300 per person for registration fees.
Now, the intent would be for the 3 days.
Yes,
And then you got 2 days.
unless we drove separately, and then we could potentially do.
What kind of issue do we create by closing for more than one day?
Does it interfere with immunizations or vaccinations?
So immunizations would not occur during that time. Currently, we're in our slow time of year.
Okay.
Spring, I think that's why Governor's Public Health Conference is held this time of year.
Okay.
You know, summer you run into school immunizations, fall you
Sure.
run into flu. So we don't have as many
Still be open
immunizations
Monday,
going on.
Friday,
Yes.
so. So go for it.
Recommend that they approve it. I'll make a motion that we support the conference with the five employees using grant money.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Crowfoot. Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion?
Is grant money allowed to cover the hotel stay? With 2
Yes,
nights
you
away?
can use it for lodging as well.
Okay.
The room rates are $150 per room.
It'll be for the one night.
2 nights.
Two nights.
Get 6 per room. You're all friends, aren't you?
Yeah.
Team building.
Oh, yeah.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay.
Hey.
Motion carried 4-1.
That's all I have today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. Now, this is.
Didn't we have, we approved 2 different positions last time?
I would love to ask.
Maybe they could come home before that one.
Should have made that as part of your exclusion.
Which one's that?
They don't need that one in Marion.
Okay.
So what I gave you earlier was a proposed amended job description, and I gave you the original, but I don't know what changes were made, so that's. what
Okay.
they-
Okay. As I was saying.
I
thought we-
don't know. We
I
usually
thought
get
we
the
were
markers.
doing-
Okay. Sorry about the delay, but we.
No problem, let me go get my mask. I thought we were still kind of spread out.
Nope, we're close now.
What is it?
No, it's not supposed to. I got a big tree pile there. I'd sure like to have burned it this last weekend, but I just didn't have nobody to help around or anything.
I'm still gonna get my trees cut, so I can create a pile to burn.
No, you don't have to get up. I'm
There.
just gonna stand here.
Glad you did.
Walk in place, huh?
We need to do that as workplace well-being.
Wellness.
Well-being.
Okay, it's whose turn it is to lead the exercises. Okay. Do 10 of these.
That sure is a big thing in big companies is.
Just simple stretching.
Yep.
Out there at the laydown yard,
Yeah.
even if you're gonna be there for an hour,
Yeah.
they'll make you do
Okay.
your safety deal,
Safety and exercise.
exercise. If something should take 15 minutes, takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I had sent, is this executive session?
We can if you need.
Material? I'm not worried about the description, but as far as the reason for the description and,
If you're gonna be addressing individual employees' performance pertaining to a specific employee, then it is allowed to be an executive session.
Okay.
If not, then.
because
it's
this is,
open.
to me, is public record, but how it's gonna be applied, I think, is an executive session.
So you may need to have an executive session first, and then and then discuss anything publicly that needs to be in the public.
We just
Yes.
lay out what the changes are. and
Well,
if
I
we
have
need
a
any
new
further
sheet. The sheet
information.
that you got was a mess, because I had gone through and marked it, and for some reason it didn't save it the way it was supposed to. So let me pass these down. And,
They didn't get anything with red on it, they only
well,
got the
and they
final.
should have gotten red and markouts. So pitch those, they don't make any sense
Take
at all.
one sheet, pass it down.
Yes, take one sheet, the back has the second page information. Because when I looked at that, I thought, that doesn't even make any sense. Because it doesn't have the markouts and the red.
That's fair, we saw it, and we don't have any questions, there's no need for an explanation.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, it's way different.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe
Yes,
there does
it
need
was-
to be an explanation.
Yes, you need to look at this, because when Sherry sent that back to, well, made the comment, need to have the red, I thought I did that. I looked at it again and read it, and I go, oh, blue stars, that just doesn't make any sense. So, I'm happy to discuss the position description.
Okay, let's do that.
We can
Go
sure
ahead.
do that,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
Of course, the biggest change, this is an administrative specialist too. I should have made one more, and I apologize for this. The main difference in this administrative specialist 2 position is that it also includes driver's license examiner. In the past, the vehicle coordinator had been the driver's license examiner as well as the vehicle coordinator. And then now, since she has moved up to be a co-deputy treasurer within, I thought I would spread some of that responsibility out to another employee who's very capable of doing this. So it's basically going to be the same things on the tax side. They still do everything else in the world in the office, as well as regular driver's license, regular vehicle renewals, title work, everything related to vehicle work. But this focus will be on driver's license, where this person would oversee the department. And we really need that because there are daily reports and then monthly reports that are paid in. When something goes wrong, one person needs to be aware of everything going on that's going wrong besides me, as I usually know. But that way, that person can deal with the state. That person can see what the best opportunities are to make it right, rather than having kind of a big free-for-all or nobody really in charge of it. And we don't have problems very often, computer problems very often, but every once in a while we do. So this also may extend, I said, may perform vehicle transfers daily, and that's our daily consolidation work. May prepare daily vehicle bank deposit. I always like to leave that in there in case we're shorthanded. She may be doing that as well. She's already doing a lot of these duties, sending lien holder letters, mailing antique renewals. And then, a little later on, she may assume vehicle coordinator's responsibilities. And so really, it's not a big shift, but it's a very important position to have somebody available, willing, and she's, this position is very important to have filled. So that's the reason I wanted to go this route.
You filling it in department?
Yes, sir.
Is there a vehicle coordinator now?
Yes, Julie's still vehicle coordinator and co-deputy treasurer.
Okay.
Yes, that was part of my reasoning with this, was to keep Julie doing that duty and Tina being still in charge of the escrow program. Need to have some continuity, and since I'm dividing the duties, I felt like they should have, once they get acclimated, right now they don't, they should get acclimated to their job, then they should have time to do both duties. If not, we'll revisit it and shift it again, but I think it'll work out good.
On the back here, it says education, technical degree or some college credit required, but above it says more than 3 years clerical bookkeeping experience is required. So if they didn't have a technical degree or some college credit required, they couldn't do it with just 3 to 5 years of...
Yeah, that was what was written in for the administrative specialist too. That's the standard. I'm not sure, I mean, it's a nice thought, to have that. And some of our people have college educations that are in the office too, so, or equivalent combination of experience and training. So I take a lot of that into consideration. Because a
Okay,
lot of
the
the
equivalent
on-job.
combination of experience and training, okay.
Yes.
So that allows somebody that you couldn't rule them out just because they
No.
didn't have a technical degree.
Exactly.
Okay. I would
Exactly.
accept that.
No,
Just
thank you
keep your
for
field-
asking.
Keep your field open. and-
Oh, yeah, because that on-job experience is just as valuable or sometimes more valuable.
Mhm.
And nothing wrong with education, but
Right,
But,
right.
but job training is,
More the merrier for
essential.
education, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's other needs too. So.
totally.
Okay, good questions. Any other questions with the position description? If not, would there be a motion to approve?
So motion.
Motion by Commissioner Garing to approve the Administration Specialist 2 Driver's License Examiner in the Treasurer's Office. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Susan.
So, then the salary, if you have any questions, like I said, go into executive session for that. Otherwise, I don't think I need an executive session
Okay.
if that's
Yeah, I don't think so.
in agreement.
Unless
Okay.
you start talking in detail about
Right.
something, then we
No,
we
I
need
won't,
to stay.
I won't
open.
do that.
Okay, yeah, I
Are we
recommend not
good?
doing that.
Yes.
We're good. Marion County Treasurer's Office, Michelle Miter, $26.94 per month to $27.44 per month, effective February 1st. Change from Administrative Specialist 1 to Administrative Specialist 2.
Do we need to change administration two to, driver's license again?
Well, and I would think that you might put the date as of the date the job description was approved, which would be today
Today.
instead of the effective on.
Okay.
That's fine.
Can we will change the date
That's
to
fine.
today's date and add Administrative Specialist 2 Driver's License Examiner.
Please.
Okay.
That way, we're just all.
Yeah,
in a
absolutely, I
row
want it to
there.
be
Yep.
all correct.
Good point.
This kind of came in pieces, so I apologize. My life has been
Got
in
it.
pieces.
Got it across the line.
Yes. Okay, so we're good?
You're good.
All right, thank you so much
Mhm.
for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, where's the agenda? Bryce is out in the field, so he will not be here today. Did you say Eric Hardy had canceled?
Yes.
I did see one of the fire chiefs in the hallway. Would you want to take a quick look for me?
Sure.
Just in case.
You just roll it like that.
That I can do.
You gotta figure that out.
You don't have to flick it. Just run it.
I guess I'm gonna have to try one out.
That's pretty cool.
See if I can fidget a little bit.
It's like the Hot Wheel.
You just go like that.
I love Hot Wheels. Do they make them anymore? Hot Wheels?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Collectors.
The only thing would be better if they had a little light in there, then it'd look like a barber
I found
pole.
an old track the other day. An orange track.
He just didn't get the message that they are
Oh,
not
okay.
coming today, so.
Okay. we're gonna
He,
do that.
and he didn't want to present it himself.
No.
I asked him. so.
He could be next, huh?
You had the opportunity. That completes the regular agenda. Commissioner Becker had some comments.
Yes, a few things that I took on my own under the convalescent time. One was asked by Commissioner Dalkey here about a month ago, a review of commissioner salaries around the state. There's really no, no rhyme or reason to any commissioner's salary from what I can see. From my research, we had commissioner salaries from a high of $98,777 per year to a low of $16,682 per year. So if you go by the middle percentiles, starting out with the 25th percentile and knocking all the low ones out, the average is $27,218 per month. Of course, the next percentile jumps way up to 55,754. I checked on some of the surrounding counties. I don't think that, I'll just give you the figures that they are because they're just everywhere. Harvey County right now is 26,849. Butler County 40,116. And Saline County 18,700.
That's the one that threw me.
But yet, you can look, I've looked around the state. We've got a county, Wilson County, which is Fredonia. That's a three-person commission with a population of 8,000 for the whole county. They're at 21,840 for their three commission. So it's just, I mean, it's all over the place.
You got Celine, you said, and what were the three that you put together there? Harvey?
Celine, Butler, Harvey.
Butler, Harvey. So yeah, it doesn't make any rhyme or reason, because I would say Celine as an administrator, but Harvey also does too.
Yeah,
And so
Harvey's
does
got
Butler.
administrator, Butler's got.
Yeah, they all three do.
Those are three counties that all have administrators.
And there's not too much way unless you just personally ask about.
I can say though that Saline County has tried to raise their commission salaries every year for the last 4 years. They have three commissioners that have fought that off, but because I know one of them. Okay, so if that is sufficient for information for the commission, the next thing, you know, we're talking about our property up here. The Marion's given to us, and a new health department. The proposed square footage of the new health department was 52 or 5,300 square feet. Okay, so I contacted Lynette Reddington in Harvey County. She has a real strong working relationship with Marion County.
Mm-hmm.
She helped us out after Deidre left with reports and that sort of thing. They were forced to move in the last year out of the courthouse because of the expansion of the district court in Harvey County. The Harvey County commissioners bought a office building from Prairie View. She said it's on First Street across from the old hospital. That's what she told me anyway.
Yes, yes.
Off of Main Street.
No, it's not on Main Street.
First
She
off,
said
block
first-
off, block
Yeah,
off.
probably, yeah, something like that. Anyway, they were given the second floor of that building for their department. Right now, they're running 14 full-time employees, and they were allowed 4,573 square feet. So I thought that was good information based on, you know, the feedback that's coming to us. And I asked her, I said, is that adequate for what you're doing? And she said, very much so.
That's also the one we went to, the second floor, the elevator wasn't working.
Yeah, she said they're still in.
A year later, it
issues.
still doesn't work.
There's an elevator issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where my bias comes from.
Yeah.
But, you know,
But yes.
they don't have any drive-through
No.
immunization,
Right.
anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Becker, for doing that. That's pretty informational, but I do know it's hard to find out too also whether those counties provide insurance for their commissioners, like we do.
Right.
And so that's, as what was reported, what we looked at after Tina gave us the current one was like another $800 a month for insurance that's given out. So that's times 12, another $10,000 spent for, well, for each commissioner, you know, times 3 or times 5. So put that on top of salaries. My original question was still just to come up with some number, make that the salary. And but I don't know, Tina's hadn't had time probably to research.
Oh, I asked, but I haven't gotten an answer.
Okay, as to research to whether that's a possibility or not possibility to do that. So,
We're not to offer insurance.
yeah, whether to.
Oh,
Under ACA,
yeah,
whether
probably
we
have
can
to
exclude
treat
the
all
commission or
employees the
not.
same, don't you?
Well, that's the question I put into
Yeah.
attorney,
Mhm.
so haven't gotten a response.
You classify us as non-employees. So,
No.
But you have other,
No,
you
I'm
have
just giving you
other.
the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just like the other thing Commissioner Sheriff Soyas gave us today. Something you need to know about counties that has 2 dispatchers on duty at all time. 51% has 1 dispatcher. That's interesting. But like I said, it's due to medical. A lot of it's due to medical. It's where if you get a call, that second employee can take that call and give medical advice
stay with them.
and stay on that call instead of having to leave to go to another call. But it's not a state statute. You don't have to. It's a luxury. Someday, if this commission ever decides to take a 10% or 20% cut in this county, what are you going to do? I'm just asking because that has been proposed in this commission room by not me, but by commissioners before me to take that kind of a cut in the county. And it makes department heads look a little bit. We have never, since I've been here, did that. Someday, we give a lot of salary out, raise the, and you're going to see it. You ain't going to have no funds to play with after. They're going to take our government funding away someday, the extra money that you have, and you're going to have to pay for it with when we come to mill levy, when we come to tax time, setting our budget here in what, 2 months, starting February, March, April, somewhere in April, May, we got to start, and you're going to have to look at what that's going to do to our mill levy.
So how does Marion County rank in population? We're in the top 50%?
About the middle.
50% somewhere right
We're
in.
at 50%.
Right
Yeah.
in the middle.
So we can go either way then.
Mhm.
Go ahead. I'm sure those small counties out west may not even have one.
May not
They
have
share, they share with a couple counties, 911 operator.
Everybody has a sheriff, but there's some departments.
Some
that
counties share.
Share.
Some counties share, appraisers
Yeah.
and different office duties like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But just to come back to the issue of 2 dispatchers, after being over there and watching what goes on in that room, and when there's a major accident or a major fire, or I don't know how 2 people handle it. I really do not. I give them all the credit in the world. And there may be an hour or 2 where it's quiet. But man, if I'm involved in a major act, that ability to give that additional information is life-saving.
But our dispatch to get the equipment out has got a system that's pretty good for that. But what I've said all along, things that's changed in my lifetime being involved, and that goes back to 1976 as being a police officer, and cell phones. Everybody grabs a cell phone and calls something in, no matter what it is, whether it's, and you want them to, but yet a lot of them is, we send a lot of officers out on some on some things that didn't need to be, but yet it's possibly a good thing. So cell phones has created, as if you step through the years of what we've seen in my 18 years, as the numbers of calls coming into that dispatch from when I started, it's just continually went up. And cell phone, 18 years ago, we didn't have it. I mean, bag phones, it wasn't the kind you carried even, and there's bag phones and carried them in a bag, so.
All right, is there any action items from the?
No,
I
it's just
appre- I
purely
appreciate-
informational.
I appreciate the information.
The one last thing I have.
Yes.
I think we all recognize after watching Palestine, Ohio in the last week, that we have 3 rail lines coming through Marion County. All on waterways, different things like that. I asked Marcy if, we have county mitigation plans, and then we rely on the state and then the federal. I just wonder if it wouldn't be wise to have the railroad's mitigation plans on file. She is going to check on
Okay,
that.
good, yes.
And if we want her to be on the
Got two
agenda at
railroads.
some point in time,
Yeah.
that I'd give her a little time to see if they can. Yeah, I mean, you got.
There are two
Santa-
rail companies, but there's three major
Yeah,
lines.
yeah.
Got two
I mean,
companies.
there's
Two
those are
companies,
major-
three lines.
Major
And
cross-country
I can't
lines.
even imagine how many water crossings
Yeah.
we have on a railroad in this county. It'd be interesting to know.
Well, yeah.
Tons.
Just the one goes straight with the river.
Right. And we have had derailments in Marion County, but fortunately, they haven't been what I call hazardous material releases. But everybody that watches the railroad right now, those tank cars are on every one of those lines.
Oh, yeah.
That
And
was-
I'm guessing that vinyl chloride goes through Marion County
Oh, yeah.
every day.
So you did ask Marcy?
Yes, she's gonna check on that. I think she sent me an email, she'd already got in contact with Santa Fe.
She's pretty quick about it.
You know, and I know those plans can be changed, they just evolve,
Right.
but, you know, I think that the public needs to keep the railroad's feet to the fire on this, because, nope.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
Kent, but I can tell you the other side of the story, because I worked for the railroad for 15 years, and I know what the other side of the story is. They don't care. They want to make money cross-country, get that freight across.
I know that they've got a heavy lobby.
Mhm.
You know, when it comes to Washington DC, they probably lobby as hard as anybody.
Yeah, but they had a derailment on Highway 50 here last 3
But
or
if
4
we ever
months.
had a
Cars sitting
release
on that wall.
in one of our
Is
main
that what they had?
waterways, it may not be just one
It
town.
was cold.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
I know, but
Well, I
Because the
appreciate
wheels
you
went up
reaching
for-
out to Marcy.
Yeah, I mean, it just, those red flags kind of pop up, you know, when something like that happens, and I just think if we can stay a half a foot ahead of something,
Yeah.
think
I
it's-
mean, I give all the credit and everything to our first responders and firemen. I mean, they practice for this stuff, but when we saw what happened there and somebody lit a match.
The fire department goes running in, the other people go running out. I mean, that's, the ambulance people come running in, police officers come running in. Others are supposed to get the rest of them out, sometimes they're tough, but Kent, the rules, or 1800 rules, I think, is always still, they still operate under some of those rules. I don't know, of course, I've been out away from them for 35 years now, but surely they've updated, but it's crazy what they dictate to the public here, or where they go through, what counties they go through, and all the railroad plans. It's all, it goes clear back to when they laid the railroads out for the country, the United States.
You know, it's just, you know, an accident like that,
Oh,
I mean, it may take several decades to get that community cleaned up. And what's gonna be left?
I live, right now, I'm living within 2 blocks of a whole bunch of railroad crossing. I mean, that's just where I live. And, yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Garing, is there a second?
Second.
Oh.
That's got a second
What?
now.
You can't make a motion
So
second.
used to-
You are in a hurry.
I
So
second
used
it.
to-
Commissioner Dalton got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Opposed,
we're
nay.
at 9:30
At
Tuesday.
9 o'clock
9 o'clock.
on
9
Tuesday.
o'clock.
There you go. 9 o'clock Tuesday.
That was my ultimate personality, trying to get the other one in.